The Successful Servant Leader podcast is all about the pioneer woman on her unique journey of becoming and being who God has called her to be. The divine connection between the wealth mindset and success in every area of our lives can no longer be denied. Successful Servant Leader teaches us how to increase our confidence and strategically and effectively serve while in the pursuit of success in our lives, our faith, and our businesses. I'm your host, Victoria Grace, and welcome to the show. Hello, guys. Welcome to this episode of the Successful Servant Leader podcast. I am super excited to be here with you guys. As always, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of this movement. Of course, I'm so glad that you're here. Go ahead and give yourself a pat on the back for intentionally choosing to be a part of this conversation that will surely help all of us level up spiritually, personally, and professionally. Now, if you are new here, welcome. Go ahead and make sure that you hit that subscribe button on whatever app you're listening on. You'll get a fresh episode on either the wealthy place, healthy behavior change, and current topics related to the modern day servant leader and the modern day pioneer woman and the modern MVP every single week. Happy new week, you guys. It's been a while since we talked, but I do have a reason for that, and I have some really great and exciting news. So, of course, happy new week. I pray that your last week was off the chain, and if it wasn't, let's do what we can together to make sure that this week is. Today's BT is based off of Isaiah 40:31. It is, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." So the actual BT today is, "My strength is renewed always because I hope in the Lord. I will prosper and be in great health, even as my soul prospers today and every day hereafter." Again, my strength is renewed always because I hope in the Lord. I will prosper and be in great health, even as my soul prospers today and every day hereafter. Stand firmly on today's biblical truth, aka today's BT. Believe that you have the power, the authority, and the grace through Christ to mentally and physically align yourself with God's truth regularly and consistently, and not just on occasion. Remember, our biblical truths come directly from our amazing community, Sisters in Pursuit, and the link is in the show notes if you want to join us. It is absolutely 100% free. It's a networking community and a clarion call to servant leaders, modern pioneer women, real MVPs, and emerging entrepreneurs worldwide to emerge and be the force that God has called them to be. So as you guys can see, the title today is simply Hello November. Hello November. And so I just really wanted to come on and share this with you guys. What's been going on the last couple weeks? What have I done that is very exciting that I cannot even believe? Well, you know what, y'all? A lot of the times when I say I can't believe it, the reason I say I can't believe it is because your girl sat in procrastination for so long, or just sat in a space of just being disobedient, Lord, to what the Lord told me to do, okay? And I actually did it. I actually finished the task, and it makes me feel really good about it. It makes me feel like I'm making God proud. Like when I do this business, when I do this podcast, KBN, Tea with Tori, all the things, you guys, this is not, I enjoy it. I enjoy it because I think it makes my Father happy, right? And so, yeah, I have some really great news to share with you guys, and just want to get caught up really quickly and talk a little bit about the month of November. So first things first, what I really want to share with you guys and just spill a little bit of tea on, okay? The tea is piping hot today, and I'm super excited about it. I finally finished my audio class. If you've been with me for quite some time, I started creating, writing this audio class last summer. I actually finished writing it out last summer. I tweaked it just a bit in between last summer and this summer, but pretty much it was completed last summer, and I just never put it out there because I was nervous. I had imposter syndrome, all the things. And I still feel like it's probably going to get updated at some point. Okay, that's just what it is. But drum roll, please. The Master Your Mind, Exposing Your Enemy and Level Up Your Thinking free audio class, which is a part of a life class series that God wants me to do, is finally finished. It is up. It is available for you to listen at your pleasure, in your car, while you're cleaning your house, while you're cooking, all the things. It is available to you. Master your mind, expose your enemy, and level up your thinking. It is a 1 hour long audio class that really goes into depth about exposing your enemy in your life, exposing your enemy in your faith, exposing your enemy in your business, exposing your enemy in your career, and just all aspects of your life, and then doing the work to really level up your thinking. And of course, when I say level up your thinking, I mean to really take your thinking process, your mind to a place of the wealth mindset. You guys, I just put so much into this, and of course it's free. All you have to do is join Sisters in Pursuit. It is pretty much what comes along with joining Sisters in Pursuit, along with all of the other amazing things like our prayer call, biblical truths, the community, tea with Tori, the event calendar, the reminders, all the things, right? You're also now getting this 1 hour audio class that you can fast forward, rewind, go back and listen to over and over and over again, as many times as you need to really help you to master your mind. And I believe that God wanted it to be titled Master Your Mind because we have to understand that as those who are called to dare to pursue and to become the servant leader and to become the real MVP and to become the real modern pioneer woman, we have to understand that we have to do our due diligence. We have to exercise our free will to choose and do our due diligence to truly overcome the wiles of the enemy, to truly overcome the desires of our flesh and align ourselves wholeheartedly with God's way of thinking, his wealthy place, and what he wants our purpose to be and how he wants it to come to fruition in this earthen vessel. And so that's Master Your Mind, you guys. I just go ahead. Click the link. I don't even care if you don't listen to the rest of this episode anymore. Click that link in the show notes. It'll be a huge, probably in all caps, and say Master Your Mind audio class, life series, something along those lines. But it will most definitely say Master Your Mind. All you have to do is click that link. It'll take you directly to Sisters in Pursuit. All you have to do is answer the questions, pretty much your name, your email, and, following the community rules, and you have access. And if you're already inside of Sisters in Pursuit and you didn't even realize that it was posted and it is available to you, well, sis, head on over to your membership, open up your app if you have the app, go to your email. If you only get everything by email, go to your email, type in Sisters in Pursuit in your search bar. Okay. Sisters in Pursuit. And just click the first email, click the link, go directly to your profile, and you'll be able to go in there and see there's a welcome series, right? There's a welcome series and a welcome checklist inside of the community. And all you got to do is follow it. It's very short. Literally, welcome to the community. Here's your audio class, and here's how to join the prayer calls every single week. Very simple, very, very straight to the point. Okay. So that is my piping hot tea for this week, you guys. And so let's go ahead and get to the rest of today's episode. So before we go ahead and jump into our last podcast episode, I really want to talk about where we are inside of the inner circle right now. So at this point, since we've gotten started, not including our orientation, we have had 5 live sessions, and we will be on our 6th live session this week, which means we are on week 6 of the Divine Incubator, and it has been so amazing. So good. Okay. You can still join the inner circle. The link will be available in the show notes if you are interested in joining, or if you want to learn more, you can always email me. That is also at the link in the show notes, or in the show notes for you, as well as just reach out to me. If you have any questions at all, reach out to me. I'm telling you, God has been showing up and showing out, putting us inside of this divine incubator. There are 7 or 8 of us women now, and it has just been such a good time. I'm really kind of just blown away a little bit. So last week, which is directly tied into our last podcast episode and the episode that I promised you guys I was going to come back with. Last week, we talked about daring to tear down, and I don't think it was a coincidence that it was right on time, right after Halloween. It was definitely just right on time. And so, of course, in daring to tear down, I really went in and broke down the words tear down, dare, and what it really means. And it really was all about tearing down false idols within our lives. And this means the false idols, whether they are people or they are things, right? Or they are places, or they are experiences, or anything. A false idol can find itself erected in a place that you never even realize it has been erected. For instance, it can be erected in your mind and you don't even realize you're idolizing somebody else, or you're putting somebody else or something else over God. And so we talked about daring ourselves to tear things down. And the episode that I really wanted to bring to you guys' attention, which was going to be another part to our Halloween series, was to talk about cursed objects. And I'm going to go over it very briefly here, but I'm also going to go ahead and add the information video. It's just a very short TikTok video, and I'll go ahead and put that in the show notes as well, so that you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. You can go back and check it out. And if you have any of these cursed objects in your home, you can make sure that you go ahead and get rid of them. Okay. Again, I'm just going over this very, very briefly. I don't think that I am an expert in this area, but I do believe that God has called me to talk about it and at least bring it to your awareness. Okay, that's what this entire podcast is about, is bringing things to your awareness so that you can become self-aware, so that you can understand that mindfulness and manifestation and bringing things to fruition and declaring and decreeing and prophesying and all these things that we see are being used in a worldly way were really God's idea. That's my main thing, to help you align your mind and find your voice. You can't build no business, build a life, build a marriage, be a parent. You can't be any of that if you are not aligned within your mind with the word of God, and if you don't have your voice. Of course, you can do it, but are you really living to the fullest potential of what it is that God has called you to do if you have not aligned your mind and if you haven't found your voice? In my opinion, the answer is no. That's just my answer. And so really quickly here, let's talk about these cursed objects. You guys know Halloween just passed. If you missed the last episode, go back and check that out. I titled it, Just Cancel It, #Halloween 2022. Just cancel it. And so everything that I am about to share with you right now is a form of idolatry. And I do understand that maybe we could be using an item or having an item in our home and not even realize that it is a form of idolatry. And how might it be a form of idolatry? Well, idolatry is anything that will give you false hope in a thing, that will give you some type of hope or some type of strength or some type of encouragement that you should be getting from God. He is the truest source, and he is the only source. As soon as you come into agreement with these items, it definitely allows a door to be open for demonic activity to be very much prevalent in your life. So the first thing on the list, you guys, is a dream catcher. Yes, a dream catcher. And I kind of have some backstory on this particular item, but if God ever released me to share it, I most definitely will. But the number one thing on the list is a dream catcher. Number two on the list is sage. I know it's some of y'all real good friend. To be honest, it's my favorite in some good old dressing. Okay. But I know some of y'all, you really love sage. Number three on the list, which I don't even understand why I have to share this or why people don't know this, but number three on the list is a Ouija board. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Number four on the list is using crystals for healing or good energy or anything like that. Crystals is number four on the list. A pendulum is number five. A pendulum is an accursed item. I see it very, very often along with crystals around people's necks. This is an accursed item. It is number five on the list. Number six is any form of witchcraft or witch candles. This is number six on the list. Number seven on the list is anything to do with chakras. So any chakra charts, any books, anything like that. These are accursed items. You definitely want to make sure that you take this up with God. Number eight on the list would be angel cards or oracle cards or anything to do with angel numbers. This is most definitely on the list as well. Number nine, some of y'all might be a little bit upset about this one, but number nine would have to be anything to do with astrology. When you listen to the video, astrology is not the same as astronomy. So anything to do with astrology. So zodiac signs, symbols, dates, facts. This is most definitely on the list. Number 10 would be Palo Santo sticks. Now, I had never even heard of this before, but number 10 is Palo Santo sticks. It's the same as burning sage. Number 11 on the list will be any type of incense, because there is very specific incense that is used for magic, right? If you buy anything from a metaphysical store, you need to make sure. I personally just wouldn't do it. Okay. And if you have purchased something from a metaphysical store, I would most definitely get rid of it. So that's number 11 on the list. And so I really wanted to make sure that I shared this with you guys. Of course, like I said, I did link the girl's video in the show notes, and I do believe she did a part 2, maybe even a part 3 or 4. She is not the only person that I have heard these very same things from, that these particular things, these particular items are accursed. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys know and understand that the evidence is out there. And if you or someone that you know or love has dabbled with any of these, just try to get to them. And if it is you that has, done anything with any of these items, take it to the Father and don't be afraid to let something go. Because if you're afraid to let something go more than you're afraid of what God says to be true and to be so, then that means it has to be an idol. Even if it's something as small that you may think, right? Something as small as, a Louis bag. If God says that it's not good, but you say you want to look good because you got a new Neverfull, then you love this Neverfull more than you love God. And it is now an idol in your life. And so I'm going to leave that there. Of course, we'll probably have other conversations on this, but I wanted to make sure that I give you guys this information because I most definitely promised it, especially since we got out of, we're still kind of in the season, honey. Like, ain't nothing changed for real. We just went from one thing to the next, but I wanted to make sure that you guys had this information and that you can never say that when you came to Successful Servant Leader, you were not prepared or you did not know. You can never say that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, take a quick break here, and then go to the next segment. So how did y'all like that? I was like, look at me being a real podcast host talking about we going to the next segment. Okay. So anyway, since we're like on the topic of things going on in the spiritual realm, I just have to say, before I go into my last thing I want to share with you guys today, I just have to say that witchcraft is everywhere. I think I said a while back that I could feel a heightened sense of things going on in the spiritual, the more that I seek God, the more that I dare to pursue, right? The more I can sense when things change or shift in the spirit, the more that I can sense things. And I notice that when things happen in my life, it's kind of like, girl, you should expect this. Now, obviously, when things happen, I still be like, okay, God, now, Sir, Father, Abba, Lord of Lord, King of Kings, okay? Lover of all, omniscient God, omnipresent God, I love you. You are so worthy and so awesome and so honorable. I love you, but I am confused. You said this. This is what you said to me. And this is not giving that. Okay? This is not giving that. And I feel like on this platform, I can do that with you guys. I can come on in here and I can share this with you guys because you need to know the real deal of becoming and being successful servant leader and daring to pursue and being the real MVP. Like, you need to know what comes with it. And so I'm just sharing this vocally with you guys. And I do know the more that I share, the more it makes the enemy mad. But at the end of the day, I serve the one that created the enemy, not the other way around. And I have the authority and the power and the grace to tell the enemy where to go, regardless of what's happening. And I know that when things happen, the enemy wants me to curl up into a ball, cry, get a headache, be frustrated, anxious, upset, fearful, all the things. But no, I think that I'm at a point now, and like I said, I pray. I just really pray. And I feel like I have been really making my father, my Abba, proud, my spiritual father, which is God, right? And so I really do feel like I've been making him proud, just speaking more, doing more, and being more consistent in what he's told me to do, and getting things done like the Master Your Mind audio class, and, making sure that I'm consistent on TikTok, making sure I'm consistent on ClubHouse, making sure I'm consistent in my emailing. If you're not on my email list, what are you doing? Just making sure I'm consistent with Tea with Tori and inside of the inner circle and with Sisters in Pursuit. And, I still have these things that I'm trying to accomplish. And so you got all the things happening in the world. And then you got your own spiritual warfare that's kind of like you against you, right? Or me against me, where it's like, Victoria, I thought we would have already had something like this done already. This would have been out the way, but it's still like something I have to check off my to-do list. And maybe I can't fully articulate that here with you guys, but I just kind of want to give you just a little overview, just a little overview of what's going on, what's taking place, and what happens. And at the end of the day, no matter the spiritual warfare, no matter what's going on, God still rules and reigns. I'm still growing on a regular basis on my social media platforms, within Sisters in Pursuit, on this podcast. Like, he is still doing his thing. And so that means I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, because he still allows people to come this way. And there's more to it, you guys, but we're gonna wait till we get to the last part of today's episode, which I'm super excited to talk about and share with you guys. But yeah, I really just wanted to share, things have been happening. I've just been experiencing a space of frustrated and faith, and the frustration and the overwhelm, trying to overlap or overdo the faith. But God said he formed me in my mother's womb. He knew me before he even did that, right? He had plans for me to prosper me and not to harm me. And so I'm to the point now where when things happen, I speak life over myself. I say, you know what, God, this is what you said. And so either I prayed it wrong, or either I did something wrong, or tell me what I need to do differently. Or I'm expecting something to be right here where I'm thinking it's supposed to be, when it's not in its timing just yet. It's not in its timing just yet. Let me tell y'all something that God revealed to me concerning Dare to Pursue. He said, my daughter, the Dare to Pursue process is flawless. It's perfect. It's exactly what the people need. But you, my daughter, have been thinking about it all wrong. And I said, okay, Dad, how have I been thinking about it wrong? And he said, the Dare to Pursue process, the fasting, the praying, the actually, daring yourself to pursue, daring yourself to trust, daring yourself to wait, daring yourself to tear down and bow and invest and do all the things. It is not to get me to move. The process of daring to pursue is not to get God to move. The process of daring to pursue has two purposes. The first purpose is so that when you get to the promise, because there will be multiple promises along the journey, along the pursuit, when you get to the promise, you will not fumble the bag. You will actually make it and get to the touchdown point. Y'all, I tried it with the sports there. Don't come for me, but you get what I'm saying. So when you actually get to the promise, you will not fumble the bag, period. When you get to the promise, you know how to be a good steward over the promise, right? Whether the promise is marriage or whether the promise is millions, you know how to be a good steward over that thing. Whether the promise is healing, you know how to be a good steward over maintaining that healing, right? That's number one. And I always like to share number one since he told me. And every time I've shared it, I always share number one first. But number two is a little bit more difficult for people. The second reason that we go through the Dare to Pursue process, again, is not to get God to move, because he's already moved. I don't think I said that already. He's already moved. So the promise is already in a predestined location. And because it's already in a predestined, predetermined time in space, whenever we get to that point, he wants you to, number one, like I said, make sure that when you get to the promise, you know how to handle it. You know how to be a good steward over it. And number two is so that on the way to the promise, things fall off of you. The negative things fall off of you. The trauma falls off of you. The hurt falls off of you. Right? And so that when you get to certain points in your pursuit, you won't do something to hinder yourself from going further in the pursuit. So really, I should share number two before I share number one, but I like to kind of lead with the good news, the easy things first. I don't know. We'll see how God leads me to continue to explain it in the future, but that's number two. He wants to make sure that you do not hinder yourself from actually getting to the promise. If you don't dare to pursue you, which in turn allows you to dare to pursue God, right? If you don't dare yourself to trust yourself and God, if you don't dare yourself to tear down, if you don't dare yourself to wait, if you don't dare yourself to check yourself, right? If you don't dare yourself to bow, if you don't dare yourself to invest, if you don't dare yourself to emerge, there won't be any opportunity to break the generational curses before you actually get to the promise. And if you don't break the generational curses on the way to the promise, which is during the pursuit, you will most definitely fumble a bag. You will most definitely abort an assignment, which will then inadvertently, even if it's on purpose or not, you will hinder yourself from getting to the promise. You will either push it back by delaying it, or you will abort it. You won't even be able to get to it. So that's what God has really revealed to me concerning Dare to Pursue. And this is why he showed me it had to start off as a boot camp, and now it's an MVP day. And very soon here, it will be a retreat where a select few women, whoever God has called, we will come together and we will actually do the work. We'll actually take actionable steps together in person and do the work. That might be something I wasn't supposed to tell y'all yet, but if you listen to the podcast, hey girl, what's up? Now you know. You may not have known, but now you know. Don't tell nobody. But that is really what I wanted to share with you guys. And of course, sharing with you guys those cursed objects, sharing with you guys the information I shared in the last episode about Halloween. These are things that could hinder you from getting to the promise. These are things that could allow you to abort the pregnancy, abort the mission. These are things that you could be dabbling in or using or allowing to be in your life, or allowing to overcome or be more important than your relationship with God, that could most definitely delay you getting to the promise. That can most definitely have you stumbling over steps, stones and everything, right? While you're in pursuit, when God said that the stone is not even supposed to hurt our foot. That was Psalms 91. If you don't know, go ahead and check it out. And so the last thing I really want to share with you guys in today's episode is about graceful works. Now, if you have no idea, Graceful Works is the umbrella of everything going on. Graceful Works is my company that I have Successful Servant Leader, which is a registered trademark, as well as Dare to Pursue, which is a registered trademark. And so Graceful Works has just been growing and expanding. I shared a little bit about that in little parts of this episode, but it's just been growing and expanding. I mean, the fact that the inner circle even has 8 members, I'm like, okay, God, look at me. Like, look at us. Like, I'm so glad that you trust me. I'm so glad that we're at this point. And I know that he's going to continue to grow the inner circle. And you guys know inner circle is all about faith. We do talk about some business, but it's mostly about faith and really going on that Dare to Pursue process and understanding those 5 pillars of success and all that good stuff. You guys know, learn more about that at the link in the show notes. But the actual business part, no matter what was going on, it could have been, I mean, I'm not going to go into detail of everything that's been going on and even what I'm going through right now. But October was one of my best months for business since I've been in business. I'm going to say that again. October was one of the best months for me in business since I've been in business. Your girl has just become so clear on who she's called to serve and how she's called to serve them. And I've become more bold and more confident, as well as not just knowing who I'm called to serve and how I'm going to serve, but being more bold and more confident in speaking and really getting my message out there and not being afraid, right, to share my message. It's just been a really wonderful thing to experience myself grow and mature. And like, just, I'm proud of myself as well. That's why I really do believe like God is proud of me. I feel so proud of me as well. And so I just want to give a shout out to anybody out there who's in the pursuit and you're trying to figure out what God wants you to do, or you know what he wants you to do and you've been afraid to do it. Take the leap. You'll never know what results you'll yield until you actually do, right? You'll never know what results you will actually yield until you actually do. The only way that you can get a return on any investment, whether it be time, money, resources, is if you actually do, if you actually go for it. And that's what I've been doing all year. That's what I've been doing all year. I've actually been practicing what I've been preaching all year, really all last year, and really just honing in this year. And it has really paid off. And I know that God is going to continue to grow this business. And so that leads me into the last thing. Setting boundaries in business, you guys. I'm going to have an entire episode on this, setting boundaries in business, because my business was kind of as I wanted to bring people on and as I saw fit. And when I felt like talking about a specific thing that I was offering, or a lot of word of mouth, a lot of my clients would come to me through word of mouth. And then I'd get some clients when I finally decide to open up my mouth about what it is that I do and what I offer. But now it's like, since I'm talking all the time, there's people always reaching out. So as I bring people on and I have my systems in place, actually making sure I follow my systems, which is important for me, because then it allows me to put boundaries in place. And I love it because I can see where God is taking it. I mean, he already showed me. He showed me a bit of where he wants to take Graceful Works. And I believe that what he showed me is probably not my mind. The way he showed it to me is probably not even the size or anything. I wouldn't even be able to fathom where he's actually going to take this brand, Graceful Works and Victoria Grace, like what he's actually going to do with it. But I'm just so excited. And through the excitement, it was a little bit overwhelming. I had to really make sure that people pleasing, I did not revert back into people pleasing. Remember, you guys, when I talk about being a recovering people pleaser, I do believe that people pleasing is an addiction. And because it is an addiction, you have to make sure that you are intentional. I have to make sure that I am intentional about staying on top of making sure that I don't allow people to go over my boundaries. And trust me, because I wasn't really running my business like a business for all these years, once I got an influx of customers, I was just like, oh, I can't keep running and doing business the way that I have always been doing it. I have to use the systems that God has allowed me to put in place before I got the people here and make sure that I'm following my own rules for myself, right? And so I did get to a point where I was just really thinking like, hold on, girl. Hold on, Charlie. Yeah, it's a little bit overwhelming. Are you following your own processes and procedures here? Right? Yes, you have the systems and automation in place and things like that, but you got to actually follow your own processes and procedures. What are your rules? What are you sharing with your clients when they onboard? You have to make sure that you hold true to Graceful Works mission and values and the rules and regulations. Okay, honey. So I just had to put that little bit in there for anybody who is at the point where they're starting their business or they're growing and you see business picking up. Make sure that you continue to stay true to setting and keeping your boundaries, specifically for my recovering people pleasers. Okay. Remember, like I said, because it is an addiction, you got to make sure that you never go back to drinking just a little bit of that people pleasing tea. Okay. Because then you might find yourself just swallowed whole before you know it, especially in a service-based business. Okay, especially when you have a service-based business and brand. And so that's all I have to share with you guys today. Super excited to be here in the month of November. Super excited for our next episode. We will be talking about November. That's all I can tell you right now. So if you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe to the podcast, share it to the last 5 people that you texted in your phone, share it on your social media, invite people to come and listen with us, invite people to the community, invite people to get that Master Your Mind audio class. I just love you guys so much. I thank you for your support. Please go ahead if you haven't already and leave a review on the podcast, okay? And I will see you guys in our next episode.